Indeed, I say that, whenever you did it to one of these little brothers of mine, you have done it. Matthew 25 verse 40. How many times do we find ourselves thinking about how the world will welcome our children? Especially those that carry unique particularities that do not follow a pattern established by society. For many mothers, fathers, and caregivers, this thought is a constant source of concern and, at the same time, a motivation to seek forces to continue the walk in God. Today I want to talk to you about kindness, but not any kindness, the one who turns to the little neurodivergent. We live in a society that often values appearance, performance, and speed. But the kingdom of God shows us a completely different logic. The little ones are the great, and those who seem less noted are actually precious in the eyes of the Creator. This is not a valorization of the fragile, but an inversion of perspective. What the world considers small, the sky considers immense. When we talk about atypical children, we talk about boys and girls who carry singular talents who need a solid support network, surrounded by love, understanding, and patience. The Lord's gaze teaches us that we should not measure value for performance or appearance, but by essence. And it is in this essence that we find true greatness. Science already proves that acts of kindness transform not only those who receive but also those who practice. They reduce stress, strengthen mental health, increase longevity. But we, who follow the example of Jesus, know that these benefits are just reflexes of something much greater. Serving neighbor is serving God Himself. And the closer to the little ones, the closer to His heart. If you are the mother of an atypical child, you may have already cried in silence, wishing the world more kind to your child. Perhaps you have asked in prayer that teachers, therapists, and even neighbors were instruments of kindness. This prayer is for you. It is to renew your hope. Remember that you are not alone, and that there is a village being formed by human hands, but guided by heaven. My invitation is simple. Open the heart, allow this message to reach the most hidden places of your soul. Take a deep breath and receive each word like a hug. Today, we will ask together that goodness is a mark in our lives and that it reaches every neurodivergent child, bringing comfort, hope, and dignity. Because, after all, when we touch these little ones, we touch Christ Himself. How many times does life put us in the face of situations that we do not plan? When we receive the diagnosis that our son is atypical, we feel the ground disappear for a moment. It is as if all expectations built in silence needed to be redone. And at that moment the question arises, Lord, what will our son be like? This question echoes in our hearts, bringing fear, uncertainty, and often hidden tears. To take care of a neurodivergent child is to live a routine that few understand. They are not just therapies, consultations, and school reports, but days of deep tiredness, sleepless nights, and concerns that seem to have no end. And in the midst of this whirlwind, every little achievement, like a pronounced word or a look of affection, is greeted with gratitude. But it is important to say, along with joy also comes exhaustion. In this path, there is no shortage of moments of loneliness. We need to deal with judgment looks, the lack of patience of society, and even the removal of people who do not know how to be by our side. Many of us feel overwhelmed to the point of losing the floor, and we know that some mothers reach the limit of their own lives. This pain should not be hidden or romanticized, but recognized. This is where faith becomes a thread of hope, even when it seems fragile. When the storm tries to drag us, it is confidence in God that gives us breath to continue. Not because we are stronger than others, but because we know that it does not close our eyes to our pain. He welcomes every cry, every silent request, and every whispered prayer in the tiredness of dawn. Many believe that being the mother of an atypical child is being a heroine, but that's not what we feel. We are human beings, with limits, fears, and weaknesses. We need support, rest, someone who says, "I'm here for you." And when someone extends our hand, we feel a real relief, because we understand that we were not made to walk alone. And this is where we need to reflect. Has society seen our need for help? Have we built a true village, where mothers and children are not left on the sidelines? Life is not about demanding superhuman forces from those who are already tired, but about learning to walk together, supporting each other with kindness and compassion. When we open the Word, we realize that Jesus never ignored those that society called minors. He did not move away from the rejected, the sick, those who were seen as a burden. On the contrary, he approached, touched, healed, sat at the table. This teaches us that when we look at our atypical children, we are not looking at a problem, but to someone who carries the image of God himself. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says, "Everything you have done to one of these little brothers of mine, they did to me." This word shows us that taking care of those who need is not just a matter of human goodness, but a spiritual act. Each gesture of support, every word of encouragement, every hug offered is, in fact, a service provided to Christ himself. This completely changes the way we see our call. It is not an appreciation of the fragile by pity, it is an inversion of perspective. The kingdom of God is no value for achievements, notes, or social standards. While the world looks at performance, God looks at the heart. Our children, with all their uniqueness, are at the center of this look of love. And we, as mothers and fathers, are invited to learn from him the same logic. Serving is greater than being served. When we see Jesus washing the feet of the disciples, we understand that the true faith manifests itself in simple and practical actions. He could have asked them to wash his feet, but he chose the way of humility. This same humility is what sustains us when we need to calm a crisis, face a hospital line, or to patiently hear repeated questions. At these times, we serve with small gestures, but of immense value. The Bible also reminds us that we were saved for good works, not so that we would live isolated in our struggles, but for faith to be visible in attitudes of love. And here it is not just about helping our own children, but also to extend their hand to other mothers and families who go through the same pains. When we become village to each other, we are living the gospel in a practical way. And there is a powerful promise: it is better to give than to receive. When we are willing to offer relief to those who carry a weight similar to ours, we ended up receiving relief as well. Science confirms this, showing how generosity improves mental health and strengthens life. But we know that there is something even deeper. When we choose goodness, we experience a little of God's heart. Beloved Lord, today we place ourselves before you with an open and tired heart. Many times we do not know how to deal with the challenges that arise on a daily basis with our children. There are times when exhaustion speaks louder, when we feel we will not handle. In these moments, we need to remember that the Lord welcomes us exactly as we are, fragile, overloaded, but still loved. We ask the Lord to help us see our children with your eyes. May we see not only the difficulties, but also the unique gifts that each carries. May we celebrate their achievements without pressure, without comparisons, understanding that each step has its time. Give us patience for long days and strength not to give up on frustrations. We also cry that the Lord lift people around us, that teachers, therapists, neighbors, and family members are instruments of kindness. May our children find acceptance and space to flourish, and that we, as mothers and fathers, can also find real support, hands that extend to divide the weight. Because we know we were not made to walk alone. We also ask that the Lord keep us from the loneliness that erodes the soul. We know that many mothers reach the limit, without the strength to follow, and even think of giving up their own lives and their lives. May the Lord reach these hearts, bringing hope before despair speaks louder. May we be instruments of support, not judgment, offering listening, care, and presence. Sir, we also want to be a response to the prayers of other mothers and families. Let us not hope always that someone comes to us, but we can take the first step. Make a call, prepare a meal, invite that atypical child to a birthday party. Teach us to live as a village, supported by your love, because only then can we follow without leaving anyone behind. And above all, we ask that the goodness of heaven cover our homes. May hope never lack us, that faith does not go out in the midst of tiredness, and that our children be surrounded by respect and dignity. May we, day after day, find renewed forces in you to continue. Not because we are heroes, but because we depend on you in every detail. After this walk in prayer, we understand that goodness is not an optional adornment to the Christian life. It is the essence of those who really knew Jesus. He not only spoke of love, but lived love in a practical way. When he washed his disciples' feet, when he touched lepers, when he fueled crowds, he showed us that true faith is expressed in service. And this service is not heavy when moved by love. We, as mothers, fathers, and caregivers of neurodivergent children, know that the challenge is real. We cannot pretend that everything is simple or there are no days when we just want to cry. But it is precisely these days that we remember we are not alone. The Lord walks with us, and when we reach out to each other, we find that God's presence also manifests itself in human support. Science shows us that practicing goodness is good for body and mind. But the Bible goes further. It reminds us that goodness brings us closer to the heart of the Creator. When we welcome a tired mother, when we respect an atypical child, when we create support networks, we are not just helping, we are serving God in person. This gives an eternal weight to every simple gesture. The great truth is that many atypical mothers are already tired, with no strength to think about being a network for others. And it's okay. The call of goodness is no longer a burden on your shoulders, but an invitation for society to wake up. The church, the school, the neighborhood, the friends. We all need to take over the support mission together. Life is not a race for those coming first, but a path we need to learn to walk hand in hand. If God calls us to look at the little ones, it is because in them we find the greatest revelation of the kingdom, the greatness hidden in simplicity. True faith proves in the way we treat those who cannot return. And now I leave a question that is not for tired mothers, but for all of us who are around. If Jesus taught us that serving the little ones is to serve Him, what we, as a society, as neighbors, as a church, as friends, can start doing today to be the village that these families need so much. My brothers and sisters, after this prayer, I want you to take a truth in the heart. Goodness cannot just be in words, it needs to become attitudes. If we want a better future for our children, especially neurodivergent, we need to start now, inside our home, at school, in the neighborhood, in the faith community. Each reception gesture may be the answer to the prayer of a tired mother or a child who only wants to be included. If this message has played you in any way, I want to ask you a special favor. Don't keep you just for you. Submit this video to school groups, neighbors, family members, friends. You may be the bridge that will arouse kindness in the heart of someone who has not yet understood the importance of supporting these families. Often, just one word to completely change the look of those with us. And if you are a mother, father, or caregiver of an atypical child, receive this moment as a hug. It is not about demanding from you more strength, but about saying that you are not alone, that there is a God who walks with you and who is gradually lifting a village to support you. May you find rest, comfort, and hope every day. Before closing, I want to invite you to be part of this community of faith and reflection. Subscribe here to the channel, activate the bell to receive the next prayers and messages, and follow each new content that will strengthen your walk. The more people come together with this current, the more voices they will rise in favor of goodness. And I leave this final question for you to reflect. Who, close to you, need a goodness of kindness today? It can be a mother who no longer knows who to turn to, can be a child who just wants to be included, can be a family who lives silently the weight of loneliness. If Jesus taught us that serving the little ones is to serve Him, what can you do simply and practically today?